Too many of us, because of the tornado, we get so busy in our day that we stop thinking about what needs to be done in this situation. Not that I feel like it, but that I recognize in this situation, you need me to behave this way. To me, that's a sign of a true professional. Along that path that I call, that path of the conversation, are the practical needs. Am I starting it off right? So the first step is, am I starting the conversation off properly? Do I have the purpose and the importance on the table? Are we all on the same page as what we're supposed to accomplish? How many times have you been to a meeting where people walk away, not even walk away, they're in the meeting themselves. We're into it 10, 15 minutes and you're looking around going, does anybody know why we're here? Have you got a clue as to why we're here? That's a sign of somebody missing that first step. It's very critical. Are we on the same page? Do we know what the purpose is? Do we know why it's important? Are we all on the same page as far as what we're trying to accomplish? Is there an agenda? So clarity in the beginning. Start the conversation. Let me give you Mike's tip. Mike's tip number 1, use the words purpose and importance. That always has helped me. The purpose of our discussion is this. This is where the numbers come in. This is why we have to have goals. This is what we're talking about. And the importance of that adds the why. I like talking about importance because I'm dealing with adults, and the more adults need to know the bigger picture, the more they get into, oh, I see why we're doing this. Then we're going to move into, okay, if this is what we're trying to accomplish, let's get into it. You can think of the first step as showing the front of a picture box, a puzzle, if you will. Here's the picture of the puzzle. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Are you ready? Then we move into step 2, and it's like taking the puzzle and dumping it out onto the table. All the pieces have to get out onto the table. That's step number 2, and it's really assessing the wants and the needs of what's going on. I'm going to use the words facts, figures, issues, and concerns whenever I can. It's usually those are the 4 things that bring up all the junk that we have to talk about a conversation. I love those 4 words. I use them in my pocket, and I use them like a surgeon. So I'm going to say the words. So what issues do you have around this? What concerns do you have? Do I have all the facts? Do we have the figures as to what's going on here? Let's make sure we're dealing with reality. You think you know their side of the story. You do not know their side of the story. When did you join the psychic network? You don't know. Here's 2 things that I'll always do that I ensure I make sure I have the whole story. Because when I get more story, it totally changes what we would do. So that's my motivation, is I can't throw out solutions until I know everything. Neither can you. So you got to know my side too. So here's a couple of things. I use these words. This really helps. Are you ready? This is golden. What else? Thank you. I try to ask what else 3 times. I really do. What else? What else do I need to know? What else is out there? Anything else we need to know? Good. So I'll ask what else 3 times. Another good tip is I use this one is tell me about that. I love that question. Tell me about that, because it gets them talking. If they're not talking, I'm going to use open-ended questions to get them talking. So in other words, this section is, do we have all the issues before we move to solution? Whose side of the story needs to get on the table? Theirs, mine, or both? Why do they need to know my side of the story? Thank you, because they only know their own. So here's a big fat tip, kids. Not only do we have to hear their side, but they have to hear your side. Sometimes they're so close to the situation, they don't see a need to be different. Am I leading them through a great discussion to say, if that's what's happening, what are we going to do about it? So how can I lend my support? How do I make sure I pull in their support as far as what are you going to do about it so I have ownership? Have we covered all the bases to make sure we've really gone through all of the options here? Now that all the pieces are on the table, let's put it together. What can we do to address these things? So we're going to develop an action plan. In that discussion, I want to make sure that we've covered all of the bases, that I know I'm addressing what you need and I'm addressing what I need, so that when we're done, it's a very clear picture of what to do next. Lead them through a discussion. This is where we come up with a what? An action plan. I'll give you a big tip. If you took copious notes in the second step there, you're going to have a nice outline of what you're supposed to cover. If you didn't take copious notes, you're going to hit the big stuff, and the little stuff is going to fall through the cracks and bite you in the butt down the road. So my big tip is take copious notes in this round, and then just go over your copious notes. Did we cover everything? That helps. But we come up with an action plan. Here's Mike's tip. Mike's tip number 1 is, if I'm the leader, I'm the boss, I'm your superior, if I throw out a solution as to what we might do to handle said problem, what happens to that solution? It becomes law. Thank you very much. It becomes law. Even though it might not feel that way, and my people are great at discussion, if I throw out a solution that has a tendency to hold more weight than anything else, it's scary, but if I'm going to empower you with the solution of this topic, I have to have you think first. My job is to get you to think and do. So I'm going to seek more than tell. The first thing I'm going to do in this section is say things like, how would you handle this? What do you think? How might you approach this? What support do you need? It doesn't mean I can't give. It just means I'm not going to give first. And I'm not going to say it like, all right, Steve, how would you handle this? Because that makes me sound like I have a hidden agenda. I'm going to be open and honest and go, you're closer to the situation than I am. What should we do? 9 times out of 10, whatever I said was usually what he was going to say. But who owns it? Me. And before I end the conversation, I want to ensure that I've eliminated all of the objections. Do we know who does what by when? Have I confirmed everything? Are we all on the same page? I don't want any fog. So I may review what we've gone over. I may have you review what we've gone over. I may make sure we set up a follow-up date. I want you feeling confident when we leave. So my big tip is 3 words that I always stick in this particular step. Confirm, confirm, confirm. I am not leaving until we are confirmed. What are we going to do next? Who's responsible for what? Are we meeting again? No fog. And as I wrap up that conversation, as I solidify that follow-up, I want to end it on a high note. You know, are we leaving saying, of course we can do this, I'm looking forward to doing this, and I know when to get back to you. There are always 2 things that you can be positive about, that you use your skill of self-esteem very effectively with. One is, I can always be positive about the plan we put together. I appreciate your time. I think we've done a great job in putting a plan together. I think you're going to see some traction on this. If not, we're going to get together in 2 weeks, and I'm really looking forward to hear what you have to say. What questions do you have? So I can do that, or I can be very confident in the person themselves. I know this is a challenging situation. It has been challenging. We've been beating our heads against the wall for a while now, but I love what we put together, and I know you're the right person for the job. I can't wait to get back in 2 weeks and see what's happened. What questions do you have? Along the path, the personal needs are used throughout to keep everybody moving in the right direction. And if I can do those on purpose, every interaction, whether it's 5 minutes or a planned hour, are going to be very, very effective. What it comes down to is this. Why do you say what you say when you say it? You know, why do people walk away from you thinking, I'm so glad I was in front of her. I'm so glad she's on our team. I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to get things done with you. Why do they say that? It's more than your personality. It's more than the pheromones that you give off. It's the choices that you make in your communication. It's those situations where you say, I'm going to care. I'm going to love as much as I possibly can. I choose to be more energetic about this particular situation. I am stretching us beyond stretching. I want to be audacious, and I'm going to walk the talk. All those things come down to the choices that you make every single day to be inspiring. In making those choices, you have impact, and it really comes down to what choices are you going to make when you enter that tornado, as soon as you get done watching this, to have the impact that this organization needs to take it to the next level. Do it on purpose.